Hey guys, welcome to the G spot, aka the gaslighting spot. I haven't done a video in a few months. I'm very excited. Welcome to the G spot, the place where we're going to be talking about gaslighting. What is gaslighting? The effects, the emotions. If your G spot is in your relationship, get your mind out of the gutter. In the workplace, in family, and even if you're G-spotting, aka gaslighting yourself. Now, for those who are just tuning in and you're thinking, what the heck is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a type of emotional abuse. It's a type of psychological violation where the gaslighter makes the gaslightee kind of feel like they're going cuckoo and kind of feel like they're losing their mind. Now, gaslighting happens in all types of relationships. I've done a bunch of videos on workplace relationships, even how to gaslight someone. I will put the link below. But today, we're going to talk about the most common phrases of gaslighting that we've all used without even realizing it. Now, if you have no idea who I am, my name is Olympia, and with my studies in cognitive neuroscience and art history, what I like to do, I like to dissect that pretty little brain of yours to see what makes you tick, but also makes you talk. So make sure to smash the subscribe button and ring that bell for your weekly Thursday videos. And let's start. And of course, let's see who left the gaslight on. Now, before you tune out after I give you the first phrase and you're thinking, what the heck, Olympia? Why would you call me a gaslighter? Why would you say that I'm using these gaslighting phrases? This video is not to define you or tell you that you're a gaslighter if you've used them, because we've all used them, sometimes realizing it, sometimes without even realizing it. And that doesn't make us gaslighters, that makes us human. Because we all have those moments we're not proud of, we all have those moments that we wish we could take back, and even moments that we won't admit that we're wrong because of our little ego saying that we're always right and we should never admit that we're in the wrong. But the difference between using these gaslighting phrases without even realizing and gaslighting someone is the gaslighter does it because they want to harm the other person. They want to demean them purposely. They know what they're doing. Whereas if you're using these phrases, it's more likely that you're doing it as self-defense. So, phrase number 1. If you're having an argument, you've said the following: this again? I thought we already resolved this. Or I thought we already talked about this. Now, this may be true. You may have gone over this conversation for some reason, but obviously if the person is telling you that, it means that it's important to them. Now, I'm going to use romantic relationship here as an example, but this could fall into various types of relationships. Let's say that you're both working and you've agreed that you're going to split the household chores. Now, if you've turned around and said to the person, didn't we already resolve this? Didn't I say that I was going to do the other household chores? Didn't I say that I was going to help out? There are two sides here. One, it could be the reason the person is saying this is because they may feel insecure. They may feel that their partner, or you who said this, that you guys have a more important life than them. That your life, that you're offering more, that you're doing more, and therefore you don't have time to do the household chores. You don't have time to help out. And that is the insecurity of the other person. It actually has nothing to do with you. Or the other person just may feel that they're not being respected, or they're not being heard, or that they're being taken advantage of. Now, the interesting thing with these two sides is that one of them doesn't actually have to do with you. It has to do with the other person's security. Whereas the other one has to do with you, and it has to do with how your action is affecting that person. Now, the thing is, I'm talking about romantic relationships here, but it could be translated across all relationships. If you are in a relationship, you are also in a partnership. And just like in business, each side needs to be heard. There has to be a chance to compromise. There has to be a room for discussion. So whether you like it or not, when the other person says something that you believe you've already discussed about, try and avoid phrases such as, didn't we already talk about this? I thought we resolved this. And just hear the other person out and see where they're coming from. Another gaslighting phrase that we've used is you're overreacting. Now, this may be true in your opinion, but obviously the other person is acting that way for a reason. Even if they're dramatic for you and how you would react, that's their trait. That's how they are as a person. And by you saying you're overreacting, you're kind of using that gaslighting phrase because you are demeaning their emotions and their thoughts. You're making them feel that the way they're acting is not appropriate or is not to your liking. Well, harsh truth time, if you are in a relationship with that person, whether it's your daughter, your father, your mother, your partner, your some colleague, you've chosen to be in that relationship because of the person they are. And if being dramatic is part of that, you're going to have to learn to accept it. And of course, you can even discuss with that person and try and compromise and say, your words make me feel like this, or your actions make me feel like this. Instead of blaming them and saying you're overreacting, you're explaining how what you're feeling, that what they're saying makes you feel a certain way. But you're not blaming them, if that makes any sense. Another gaslighting phrase that we've all used is, I'm not blank, you are. Now this basically is called deflection. So whatever you're feeling or whatever the other person is accusing you of feeling, you deflect it back. So I'm not angry, you are. I'm not selfish, you are. I'm not irresponsible, you are. Now all these examples, even though you may feel that the other person is being like that, you kind of have to be the bigger person here. So instead of using the gaslighting phrase and going back to them, you can simply ask them, why do you think I'm selfish? Why do you think I'm self-centered? And then you walk your way through that, but without kind of blaming the other person, but just discussing why they feel that certain way. Now, another phrase we've used, many of us, including yours truly, is you're being dramatic or you're acting crazy. Now you can use this for a bunch of reasons. It could be the fact that the way the person is acting is not to your liking and maybe is even embarrassing you. So if they're acting all dramatic and if they're like the previous phrase, if they're overreacting, you may feel that they're embarrassing you either in front of your friends or your family. And by saying that you're acting crazy, obviously it's a very insensitive thing to say, but try and see where they're coming from again. Instead of calling them crazy or instead of saying that they're dramatic, one of the things that gaslighters do very effectively is that slowly they make you question your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions until you reach the point where you don't even trust your own self. You don't even trust what you feel or what you think. So by completely dismissing an argument and glossing it over by saying that the other person is crazy, you're kind of gaslighting them in that way in terms of allowing them to feel what they feel. Another gaslighting phrase that we use a lot is the guilt tripping phrase. So it's making the other person feel guilty because of what they said. What does this mean? I'm not selfish. Why would you say that? Or I'm not self-centered. Why would you say that? And then sometimes you can add the I'm not selfish. Why would you say that? Yesterday I spent all day cooking your favorite meal. Or yesterday I spent all day with your friends, even though I don't like one of them. So you take the adjective of whatever the person calls you, which by the way, that doesn't make it okay. Calling a person selfish, crazy, self-centered, it's hard. It will trigger some emotions. It will hurt their ego. But again, because you're watching this video and because you want to see what these gaslighting phrases of, you're going to have to learn to be the bigger person. So when you do that, you're taking the adjective they use along with the guilt of why would you say that, and add an instance which has nothing to do, for example, with what they're saying, just to defend that you are not selfish, and you're making the person feel bad for whatever they called you or expressed to you. Now you can say that hurt me, or that makes me feel that you're not appreciating what I'm doing for you. The important thing is that you put the focus on you rather than on them. So again, by trying to guilt them, it doesn't really work that way. And that is a very common gaslighting technique, guilt tripping. I've talked about it a lot in my previous videos. I will link them below. Now, the two phrases that we've all used pretty much since we entered preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, maybe when we even first started talking, is I never said that, and that never happened. Now, of course, I've said this again and again, our brains don't like to feel uncomfortable, hence the phrase, going outside your comfort zone. So if something happens and it makes us feel uncomfortable, the first thing that most of us will do, because we're human, is denial. So we will say, I never said that, so the other person questions whether we said it or not, or that never happened, because we don't want to admit the situation. Now, I've said it quite a few times in my life, just because there is a fear of confrontation, and there is a fear that the other person will judge us. And sometimes, especially the I never said that, is because we believe that we've crossed the line. Which brings me to the other gaslighting phrase is, I'm just joking. Now that's a very common negging phrase. I've done a video on negging above. If you are joking, I actually read this, it was really good. It's only a joke if both parties are laughing. So if you're laughing or if you find this comical, whereas the other person is kind of bleeding, hurting, questioning their existence in life style, that's not a joke. So the I'm joking and the I never said that are usually because we've crossed a line. And we know we've crossed the line because we're using those gaslighting phrases. And the this never happened, again, we believe that we crossed the line, or we just don't want to admit that we acted in that certain way. So these are the gaslighting phrases. Let me know below which ones you've said, if you're guilty of all of them. I bet you said the last two. I don't believe there's any person on this planet that has said the last two, because we all have a dark side, and it's all part of how much we embrace that dark side and how much we admit that it is dark side. So don't forget to smash the subscribe button, ring that bell for your weekly Thursday videos, and of course, share this video with anyone who's using these gaslighting phrases. And that's it, folks.